I'm ready.
All right, good evening, everyone. I call this meeting of Hamtramck City Council to order. Today is June 27th, 2023, and it's 7:12 p.m. Would the clerk call the rules, please?
Councilman Rafai,
Present.
Councilman Musa,
Present.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yeah, present.
Councilman Chowdhury and Councilman Hassan are not present. Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any community announcements?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilman Rafai, go ahead.
sadly, our city attorney, Auditor, was not able to attend tonight's meeting, and that's because his father-in-law passed away today. So my sincere condolences to him, his wife, his family, and friends. So he may rest in peace.
Mr. Mayor, in lieu of what the councilman said, we have Mr. Allen graciously filling in for our city attorney in a pinch. Most people here know him, so.
Okay.
In addition to that, tomorrow is the Sarah Garrett Monument dedication at 5 p.m. at the Sarah Garrett Park. Hopefully everyone can attend. I expect it to be about an hour. Should be a nice commencement for the monument.
Thank you. Any more announcements?
That land, we shouldn't have any.
She doesn't have any? Okay. All right, so we move to proclamations, recognitions, and presentations, and we have proclamation recognizing the 28th anniversary of the genocide in the United Nations protected area of Srebrenica.
Srebrenica. I just have to say it 20 times before we started.
Srebrenica. You wanna
Sure.
go ahead and read it? Thank you.
Recognizing the 20th anniversary of the genocide in the United Nations protected area of Srebrenica. Whereas both the United States Senate and the United States House of Representatives passed resolutions acknowledging the genocide that the Serbian forces perpetrated in Srebrenica and all of Bosnia from 1992 to 1995. And whereas July 11, 2023 is commemorated as the 28th anniversary of the Srebrenica massacre, in which at least 8,372 innocent Bosnian civilians were summarily executed and 30,000 were expelled from their homes in the worst atrocity in Europe since the Holocaust. And whereas this anniversary raises awareness of the tragic suffering of the Bosnian people and honors and remembers those who died as a result of the policies of the ethnic cleansing and aggression. And whereas the city of Hamtramck recognizes the importance of this event to bring closure for the Bosnian people through justice and truth. Now therefore I, Ahmed Gadid, Mayor of Hamtramck, do hereby proclaim July 11th as Srebrenica Remembrance Day and proclaim the week of July 11, 2023 as the Bosnian and Herzegovina Tribute Week in Hamtramck and call upon all citizens to work towards ending the cycle of violence and promoting peaceful coexistence amongst all. Signed, Ahmed Gadid.
Thank you. Do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, you
All right. Then we will move to the public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to start with the emails first. I have Megan Navoy. Hello, I am a business owner in Hamtramck and I am deeply concerned about the anti-LGBTQ rhetoric that is being encouraged by the city. I am opening a retail store and art space in Hamtramck and my business is welcoming and accepting of all people. I do not want my business to be operating in a place that encourages homophobia via the city's banning of hanging the pride flag, especially during Pride Month. The city of Hamtramck is a wonderful, diverse place, and we need to encourage acceptance and cohabitation amongst people with different beliefs, not be judgmental, encourage hatred and bigotry. I'm against the so-called neutrality and urge the city to reconsider and appeal the latest resolution. Thank you for taking the time to read this email. Best, Megan Lavoy. Eric Wellsby. Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Eric Wellsby, and I am the Advocacy Director of Detroit Disability Power. I'm contacting you today regarding the proposed changes to public comment. Detroit Disability Power has been approached by multiple Hamtramck residents who have expressed serious concerns about how the proposed public comment changes will impact people with disabilities and their ability to have their voice heard by this council. The changes as currently proposed will create excessive barriers for people with disabilities, senior citizens, and others through the elimination of the option to provide public comment via email. For those with mobility issues or who may be temporarily, permanently immobilized, hand delivering their comments to the clerk is not an option, and finding someone else to deliver the comments on their behalf may not be practical. Utilizing a courier service may not be an option for many either. Courier letters can take anywhere from 1 to 3 business days to reach a destination, depending on when and where the letter is sent from the city. This allows a very limited window for residents to review the council meeting agenda, prepare their comments, and get it posted in time for it to arrive before the public comment submission deadline. In addition, couriers like the United States Postal Service do not operate on Sundays or holidays, potentially further limiting a resident's time and ability to have their comments delivered before the deadline. Finally, utilizing a courier service may require a resident to leave their home and send their letter to, or to purchase appropriate postage, both of which may not be an option for some residents with disabilities. In short, the proposed changes will exclude many disabled Hamtramck residents from discussing important issues with their city council. If enacted, these changes will result in the silencing of many disabled voices in the city. These changes would send a message to residents that disabled people in Hamtramck are not a priority for this council, and that it is acceptable for them to be marginalized and excluded from the decision-making of city elected officials. Detroit Disability Power and our members in Hamtramck strongly urge you to vote against the proposed changes to public comment. Thank you. Michael Marcus, while I realize that copper lines may be more expensive, plastic water lines represent potential hazards for our entire community, particularly if the types of plastic are not explicitly listed in the amendment. Many types of plastic have particular risks. Please see the link below. He did submit a link. Continues to say, I do not protest the use of all plastic. And given what is shown in the article at the link, you can easily see how the amendment can be adjusted to avoid the possibility of harming both our citizens and the water supply. This is an easy opportunity to fix legislation without any real inconvenience. George Elkind, my public comment for council tonight. My name is George. As a Hamtramck homeowner and taxpayer, I'd like to voice my opposition to Proposal 2385, which would dramatically restrict the ability of residents and community stakeholders to make their voices heard. Council is meant to represent the community's needs and should thus be open to hearing their views. Mandating that people bring physical copies of written comments to City Hall by 4 p.m. is an egregious requirement in this day and age for civic participation. And on top of imposing an undue burden on community members with disabilities, makes it hard for people who simply work typical hours to participate in key government processes. Limiting discussion of resolutions to 5 minutes per council member also curbs the ability for officials to govern effectively and is likely to result in rash decision-making and undercooked proposals, a very bad idea. Those who resent the burdens of civic work and who do not want to put in time to serve their constituents have the option to simply not run for office. Hearing the voices and objections of those one represents is absolutely at the heart of democratic process. This proposal stands squarely in the way of keeping the city's modes of governance open and participatory. I ask members of this council to vote no on the resolution, which would damage our city and community in very clear ways. One of the most important aspects of your job is to listen. Thank you. Julia Sosin. My name is Julia Sosin, a Hamtramck resident. I'm commenting in opposition to the proposed changes to council meeting rules that would prohibit emailed comments. I'm in favor of emailed comments because they increase participation in democracy. They are extremely convenient for me, a busy working mom, but while I hypothetically could attend a meeting in person, there are many more in Hamtramck for whom that simply is not an option. Same with hand-delivered comments. And mail-in comments require advanced knowledge of agenda items so they can comment so that any comments can arrive on time. Thank you. Soren Hodder. Good morning. I just wanted to make some follow-up comments both regarding 2023-82 passing as well as the intent to add an end to email comments to the agenda. First, I'll address 23-82 passing, as I think some further clarifications will make my disagreement with ending email comments make more sense. I'm a 100% disabled vet with both physical and mental disabilities as a result of my service, a service that I did proudly and with honor. In my previous comments regarding to the proposal and intent of 2382, I didn't mention my service because I generally don't think that it should be necessary to mention. We are all Americans and we are all doing our best for our communities that we call home. What I think is being missed by the current city council is the knock-on effects as discussed both at the recent DDA meetings as well as what was brought up by the city council members in the recent city council meeting. My service was meant to support and uplift all members of our country. I serve proudly next to Muslims, next to atheists, next to people from the LGBT plus community, and next to people from all walks of life. This includes both their right to protest and refuse to stand for the national anthem, as well as flying flags of representation. As I stated in my previous comment, representation goes far beyond what is present in the existence of the national flag. Up until 2011, LGBT individuals couldn't serve honorably in the military. Did the flag represent them while they had to hide who they were? Please, I beg of you to reconsider this line of thinking and remember that I and many other veterans fought for, what friends of mine have died for. It wasn't so that the nation with the diversity of America would have cities begin banning flags of representation. There was also a lot of talk about bigotry not existing before the pride flag was flown. There was a lot of talk about having to respect religious beliefs of those who disagree with the existence of LGBT plus people. I think this is a dangerous line of thinking and blatantly stating that that was a motivating factor despite the initial words to the contrary from the mayor saying that the resolution did not target LGBT plus pride flags. The words of both the sponsor and other council members were in direct contrast with that initial response. I would encourage the city council that the city council considers these potential issues as I hope they reconsider 2382. Let me be clear, I am a veteran. I am absolutely disappointed in your decision to only fly the U.S. flag under the guise and that it represents all people of the city equally. And I oppose the comments of people using my status as a veteran to argue for that stance. This brings me to my concerns regarding ending email comments. I struggle with depression, anxiety, PTSD, and physical ailments as a result of my military service. It is not always possible for me to come in person to city council meetings and give comments. I'm not alone in these difficulties with appearing before the city council to deliver statements in person. There are so many, as seen in the previous city council meeting, who rely on being able to email comments in order for their voice to be heard. Banning emails at this point is a direct counter to the existence of people with disabilities in Hamtramck community. It also opens Hamtramck up to the possibility of falling out of compliance with the Americans with Disability Act by removing this reasonable accommodation for people with disabilities. Thank you again for reading and considering this. This is Matthew Isapi, I believe it's pronounced. Hello, City Council and Mayor. I'm deliberately sending an email comment to make a specific point. This method of delivering feedback to council is necessary for those who are disabled and are working while council meetings are happening. Will you be posting the council agenda 2 days earlier so people actually have a reasonable time to mail in comments? It's clear as day the incentive for removing email comments is because of the 123 emails received last session on the resolution. I see no issue in why there were so many. Hamtramck was put on national news and now has a damaged reputation because of the resolution approved last session. And residents foresaw that and begged you to reconsider it. We are an embarrassment now, and people are afraid of stepping into the city because now people are aware of the increased harassment and vandalism towards LGBTQ individuals and property. I didn't like it when your constituents overwhelmingly made their voices heard. You didn't like it when your constituents overwhelmingly made their voice heard, to the point where we had to have someone call names out into the hall so people could speak their minds last session. It's now abundantly clear to myself and other Hamtramck residents that you are more focused on removing as many public comments as possible instead of having critical conversations with your residents. Every voice that spoke last week, even if not everyone liked what was heard, deserved to be heard, period. By banning email comments, you're playing into the hands of right-wing evangelicals who are trying to divide us all as neighbors and friends. A path towards true peace and equality does not continue by removing access for disabled and working Hamtramckans. We should be focused on increasing time and access for us to come together and have the necessary discussions on how we should move our community forward. We must be focused on increasing time and access to the council, not removing it. I ask you again, if you all are now focused on removing email comments, how will you properly be compensating residents to deliver comments? Will you be putting the agenda out earlier in advance so our slower mail system can compensate? Again, you are removing the ability for the disabled and hardworking voices to participate with the civil system they are a part of. And I invite you to reconsider this move. Thank you and have a good evening. That's it for emails. Justin Jessup? 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Mayor, Councilman, thank you for hearing me. I know you don't want to. It seems like everything you've been doing has been geared towards not listening to people. A few years ago, I gave a presentation here in these chambers pitching ranked choice voting so we could have a more representative council. That was shot down. And I really wanted to talk to you today about the pride flag issue because, again, it seems like the flag project was meant to show inclusivity in our diversity. It wasn't meant to say, hey, we're pro-Poland or we're pro-Yemen or we're pro-Bangladesh. This was about celebrating all the people in Hamtramck and their identities. And anybody had access to flag. I don't think we've denied any since the flag project began, until you guys went out of your way to keep the pride flag from flying. Again, flying that pride flag isn't about being pro-gay. It's about allowing everyone in Hamtramck their space. Now you're trying to keep comments from being emailed in. You're supposed to listen to your constituents. That's your job. It's your job to represent the community. I don't understand why that doesn't sink in. You guys, I know when you look at a guy like me and he starts talking about his favorite amendments, you're thinking angry white guy second. He likes his guns. It's not the case. My two favorite are the First Amendment, separation of church and state, and the 14th, which guarantees equal access. And that's what we're talking about with the flag project. It's equal access. If you get to fly your flag, and I get to fly my flag, everyone should be able to fly theirs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josh Hansknecht. I am a resident and homeowner here in Hamtramck. And I'm here to talk to you today about your resolution 2023-85. And specifically, I want to talk about how I feel like it is being rushed in and not fully thought through of how you're dealing with the issues that you're having in council. I imagine that resolution 2023-85 is a response to how long our council meeting was last week, but most council meetings are not this long, and most times we read emails, it does not take the majority of the night. And that really has to say about the division in our community over what was a unanimous vote by council. However, today I want to talk about how this resolution is also very heavy-handed. Removing all email comments doesn't, it does, I guess, solve your issue of having meetings run too long, or if your issue was worried that it was non-residents sharing their comments and being prioritized over residents, you could solve those issues with legislation that solves those issues, but an outright ban really does seem like a attempt to stifle people's ability to speak, which really does publicly seem like an attempt to restrict people's First Amendment rights and participate in their local government. And that's really all I have to say today, so thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Tanya Kapner, and I work with the Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, Immigrant Rights, and Fight for Equality by any means necessary. We're a longtime civil rights organization in the area. We've done a lot of work to defend public schools and fight for the rights of all students, against the Muslim bans at the airport, to stand up for integration programs so students of all races can have an equal quality education. And we are here tonight to demand of this council to reverse the ban on the pride flag. We are here tonight to make clear that the movement for LGBTQ+ rights in this country is not going to be forced back into the closet, that people have a right in this country to be who they are and to be loud and proud about who they are and to have equal opportunities. This city Hamtramck should be known as a beacon of progress. As beautiful as it is of people from all over the world to come and live and raise their lives in this city, it should be known as a place of progress. This is not a neutral resolution that was passed before. The whole country knows it. People are talking in the New York Times about Hamtramck playing into the hands of the Trump movement. This should not be a city that goes along in any way with attempts to overturn democracy or build fascism in this country. We are calling on you to reverse the ban on the pride flag. It is not neutral. It is causing harassment of LGBTQ+ people in this city and towns nearby. It is building towards bigotry. It is not acceptable for a council representing this beautiful city of so many people to try to play into the divide and conquer, to make it impossible for residents to have a home here and be safe, to make it impossible for young people, whatever their gender, to be able to be who they are. There have been marches across this country of trans youth, of young people of all orientation and gender identities supporting them for progress, for equality. We are not going to accept it. This is not, January 6th was not successful, and we will not let it be successful. This beautiful city should be represented by the council taking up the best interests of all people, which is equality, progress, civil rights, and standing for the rights of the LGBT community to be who they are and express their beauty in this city and town. We're going to keep building this movement. We're going to work with anyone and everyone that wants to make that happen. We demand you do the right thing now and reverse that terrible bigoted decision. It is not neutral, and the whole world knows that. Please stand for progress and reverse the ban on the pride flag.
Hi, Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to point out that there's a couple proclamations that I was surprised didn't appear on this agenda. We recognize an event that the date is July 11th. There's no proclamation or recognition of the 4th of July. There's no recognition of Juneteenth. Also Pride Month. So I just want to point out that those are missing from our agendas. And related to Resolution 2023-85, having a limit of 5-minute discussion item per councilman per agenda item, I think limiting that and restricting that implies that council comes to the meeting knowing what their decision is going to be on any agenda item before there's a discussion, before any clarifying points are made. And I think that really restricts our ability to consider different alternatives, to consider different perspectives and change our minds in council meetings. I also am opposed to restricting email comments. It is a burden to require people to print out copies or handwrite copies that Forana would have to read somebody's handwriting. And some of the email comments included some of the points I'm about to make, but families with small children, if you're a single mom or if your partner's out working, that's a really big burden to come in and physically make a comment. If somebody is traveling, Councilman Rafai sent an email comment from Saudi Arabia. There's no way he could possibly have mailed comments in from overseas and participated in the discussion if that rule was instated while he was traveling. Again, mentioning disabled and special needs residents, it adds additional burdens to their ability to participate in civic discussions. Our senior citizens, if somebody intends to come to a meeting, gets ill on a Monday or a Tuesday and is all of a sudden unable to, obviously you can't mail something by then, and we don't want sick people coming to council and transferring that to Rena. And then also I really want you to consider that this is a representational republic. Our job, or your job as elected officials, is to listen to, respect, and consider the voices of all residents, not just the majority. This is not a democracy in that sense of the word, but really to listen to all residents. Can I ask for another minute? Okay. And I just had a comment also about Resolution 2023-88. I just would like some clarification on the benefits and risks of introducing plastic water lines as opposed to sticking to copper, and just kind of wanted some history and understanding of where this is coming from. And then also, I spoke last meeting about this Resolution 2023-89. I am in full support of the street sweeper. I think some of the discussion last meeting clarified that this is coming out of the road fund budget, and that this will pair very well with the existing one we have out front that picks up all the little stuff. This one will pick up all the big stuff. And that's it. Thank you.
Excellent. Rydell Garrett? Oh, you want to speak at the end, or do you want to speak now? At the end? Oh, at the end. Okay. Terry Branch?
Hello, councilman and mayor. I say councilmen and mayor because that's all you are. It's not a very diverse council if it's all made up of men. And that's not your fault because you were elected into the position, so I understand that you guys feel that you are representing the community. My name is Carrie Branch, and I am a Hamtramck resident since 2011, and I've been a homeowner since 2021. I am one of your constituents. You represent me. Professionally, I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion educator. I also work for a nonprofit, and I do a lot of work really closely with their board governance committees. When DEI and policy come together, it's really my sweet spot, so I got pretty fired up about the recent Pride flag ban. I'm willing to play the contrarian and entertain the notion that this resolution was a new administration's attempt at true neutrality. You guys are new. I'll give it to you. So as such, I've set my professional acumen to work, and I prepared a draft revised resolution for your consideration. I emailed it to Mayor Galib, City Manager Max, and Rana earlier today. It's a long resolution. I don't think I have enough time to read it all to you, but it is my sincere hope that you will review it and consider it for adoption. I believe that you'll find the language to be truly neutral in that it does not exclude one group, but rather lays out criteria for everyone to apply to see that their identity is represented and respected. There's a quote that I'd like to share from a Dr. Seuss book. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And I care. Okay, I'm the Lorax, and there are a lot of other people like me here who don't have the opportunity to come in today. And you're trying to restrict their ability to have their voice heard by taking away their ability to email. I think if the pandemic taught us anything, it's that we need to be more flexible and more accepting of each other.
Thank you. Darren Johnson?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you. Before I get started, I ask, please, council members and Mr. Mayor, can you have some respect for your constituents and get off your phone while we're speaking and letting our voice be heard? I would really appreciate that. Letting your voice be heard is something. I'm not only here in opposition to Resolution 2023-82, but also Resolution 2023-85. It seems like this council is intent and dead set on suppressing the voices of the community. For the sake of this comment, I'm going to assume neutrality was the goal for 2023-82. And I'd like to take a second to acknowledge the effect. While it seems like business as usual back here at City Hall, over the last 2 weeks at Planet Theater, a 30-year-old institution right on Kniff, we have had a huge elevation in hate speech. We have had handwritten and emailed hate mail from as far away as Houston, Texas, saying the most terrible things you could ever imagine. People have told us they no longer feel safe in this city, a space that we have built over 30 years, and they don't want to come here anymore. I've had multiple individuals and organizations tell me that they no longer want to work with us in Hamtramck because of the political climate in this city. We've had vandalism. We've had attempts at our flag being ripped off again. If your resolution was neutral, can you at least acknowledge that the effect of this resolution has not been that? I urge you, as soon as this meeting's over, as soon as you have a free second, please make a public statement against the violence, against the vandalism, against the hate speech, because I hope at least we can agree on that. Additionally, I would like to give you the opportunity to support your LGBTQ+ community here in Hamtramck and invite you to our Pride event on July 28th, right down the street. We will be there, we will be loud, and we will have fun. If you do care about your constituents, hey, come show them, 6 o'clock, July 28th. I would also invite you to sit down with myself and other community leaders and business owners in this city to address the growing divide and violence and hatred here as a result of Resolution 2023-82. Also, I would like to ask this council, and maybe this is a question for the city's lawyer as well, how is it that there are still banners hanging up on the light poles? That they're not the 5 flags in question. Consider that, please. I really urge you to reconsider. I urge you to examine the effect. I urge you to speak out against violence and hatred in all types to all people in this city. And I want to again remind you that I love this city. And I hope that you do also. And I want to remind you that it is the diversity of people and ideals that make this city great. And I will continue to fight. And I will be here every 2 weeks until you're sick of me. Thank you.
My name is Melissa Gilchrist, and I'm here to talk to you tonight because I heard on the news that our mayor said that the opposition to the pride flag resolution was being brought by outsiders, and I want to tell you right now, I am not an outsider. I am a resident of Hamtramck who has owned property, voted, paid taxes, and lived here for 25 years, which I'm pretty sure is longer than any of you. I am a resident of here. This is my home, and I am against this resolution. And so if you think this is being brought by outsiders, you are wrong. I'm going to take good faith that you're mistaken and did not mean to say that, but if you continue to support that statement, I'm going to outright say you're a liar. And that I am willing to publicly denounce that to any other voter I find. So I think that I personally am offended by this statement, that you think that the people here would support this, because they do not. I am one of them. I have been for longer than any of you have been here. So I am against both that and the resolution that blocks people from being able to comment and force you to hear from us, because we as your constituents are the ones you need to be hearing from. And that is all I have to say.
Adrian, can you pronounce your last name for me?
It's Lefkowitz.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Adrian Lefkowitz. I'm also an organizer with By Any Means Necessary, and I'm also queer and transgender. I just wanted to use my time here to say that pride flags are nothing to fear unless what you fear is unconditional love and acceptance. If you had taken the time to learn what the pride flag actually stood for, you would know that the rainbow was chosen specifically because it's not only a symbol of hope, but also a symbol of diversity. It says that although we may be different, express our love and authentic selves differently, and live different lives entirely, in this community we are one big family. The decision made by this council is frustrating to say the least, because not only are you turning your back on the community in need, you are turning your backs on a community built on the foundations of love and understanding. You are turning your backs on people who would never do that to you, and people who understand that regardless of the horrible and unjust decisions made by this council now and in the future, we will still never turn our backs on you when you need it, because we recognize that this is what the real enemy wants. You fail to realize that the people you choose to side with will always refuse to see people like you and us as human and deserving of love and respect. You can't remain neutral in situations of hate, because that just shows the oppressors, the bigots, the hate groups, that what they're doing is working. That if they try hard enough, you will just step to the side and let them be as hateful and cruel as they want. Queer rights have come far, but not far enough, and the rise of anti-gay and anti-trans legislation over the course of the past few years proves just how important it is to take a side. Whether you realize it or not, people's lives are at stake over this. And you are sending a message to those hate groups and the rest of the world that Hamtramck not only allows, but welcomes hatred and intolerance. You are saying this council welcomes hatred and intolerance. And all we want is the right to tell people that they are loved, welcome, and safe here. How can you fail to see the difference? And that's all. Thanks.
Hello, Bill Meyer, One Hamtramck organization. This is my 23rd year of attending council meetings. I've been here longer than anybody. I know I've attended more meetings than anybody. And one of my major goals was to try to get people to come down here and participate as a public voice. I'm excited to see what's happening now. People are showing up. There were many meetings that I was here alone for a long time. You have to hear from the public, and these are all important voices. And our One Hamtramck organization is a group that's brought together to fight for social justice, against Islamophobia, against any form of discrimination against anybody. And some of you have been a part of our events. I think the best way to solve this very difficult problem, differences, which we've had all through our history. I remember coming here when it was the old guard poles fighting the new guard poles, and then it changed to the Poles off fighting the Muslims. We always find something to fight each other about. The trick is to try to live with people who you don't agree with, as I said at the last meeting. That's the goal, and it's very difficult to achieve. One way to do it is to learn about each other, is to walk a mile in their shoes, get to know them personally, get to understand their issues, their concerns, and see them as human beings. It's the same on both sides. I know most of you guys behind that. I would never insult any of you, because I know you personally, and I know you have good hearts. You mean good. You might do something that offends other people, but that's very common in the world. But I don't see a person there that I don't like. And I don't see anybody in this audience I don't like. I've worked in the LGBTQ community, worked against anti-gay things back in the 70s, 80s. I've fought for workers' rights, for all sorts of rights, for equality, for justice for everybody. So I know you love the people in all communities in the city, and you serve all people in this community. The gay community has been hurt very bad by this issue, but I think I have to say, I think you chose the only way out to solve this problem. Because this city is, which many people won't accept, we've been fighting the white power structure in this city for the last 23 years. Finally, we've rectified that to some degree. The hardest thing is that, you people that are not the same, then they have different issues. They have to find a way to get together. 30 seconds? Can I get the connection? Okay. I just want to, this issue wasn't what I want to talk about. I wanted to mention about the ordinance, the resolution about the council meetings. I wanted to ask if you could please consider changing the public comments at the end of the meeting so that it's allowed to speak about any topic, just like at the beginning of the council meeting. Because there's a lot of people who can't get here at the beginning of the meeting, and they would like to speak about some issue that might not be on the agenda. I don't think that's a thing to worry about. But all these years I've been here coming to council meetings, we never had any problem. My concern was if you don't get here, you don't get to talk. That's it. Now all of a sudden we had emails. That's great. Or we could write letters and send them in. I mean, it's getting better and all that, but I can see how that can get out of control. So you have to find a way to do it, whether it's an issue you defend or you support or you don't. This could be like 500 emails coming in, easily. So you have to have some system on how to resolve this so that people don't feel they're being cut off. I know you don't want to cut off the community, because I know all of you individually. You talk to me about these issues. Let's learn about each other. Let's talk to each other. Shake hands, find out what our differences are, and try to find a way to live together, because so we can all live better together. This city will only get better when we work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Mayor, that's all for public comments.
All right, thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. But maybe before that, I should clarify something. I released a statement to denounce all that kind of vandalism. I don't know if you've seen it on the city website, and I don't have to keep posting it over and over. I mean, I said it and it was clear. We don't support any kind of vandalism against LGBTQ or anybody else in the community. And we value your presence. We hear your comments, we don't ignore them. Some people think that we just don't care. No. Although we get some aggressive emails and comments on social media, we try to ignore those too. I mean, we receive all kinds of horrible emails, including some threats, but we ignore those. But people who come here and speak their opinion respectfully, we take it into consideration. So we'll try our best to do anything we could to make everybody happy in the city. And that was our opinion, that Resolution 82 was the best way to get out of this dilemma of people asking to fly their flags, because people will do it just in response to your demand of flying the pride flag. They will come and say, we need our flag, which could be a weird flag that we cannot reject it. I read part of that resolution that one of our people here sent, and you put some criteria, but some acceptable flags to you is not acceptable to somebody else. You may think this one is a sign of love, somebody else would think it's, so we can't.
It's on the White House.
I understand.
Some criteria yourself.
That's what you think. So I'm just explaining what others think. So we take your opinion into consideration. Others have different ideas and different opinions, and we have to listen to them too. The fact that they are not here doesn't mean we should ignore them. They are everywhere. So I think the best way just to be neutral is to just fly your flag in your own properties and leave the city neutral. The fact that it's not flown, please don't interrupt me. The fact that it's not flown in the city hall does not impact your quality of life or your rights or freedoms at home. It does not. But I mean, others don't have their flags flown in the city hall, and they are not complaining. But we listen to you, we read your emails, and we listen to your comments, and we discuss them. Thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda. We have approval of minutes from the June 13, 2023 regular city council meeting. Approval of invoice register date ending June 27, 2023. Approval of pre-approved expenditure date ending June 26, 2023. Resolution 2023-84, approving appointments to boards and commissions.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have the appointees here.
We're swearing him into the planning commission. Raise your right hand for me. I state your name.
I, Abdulaziz Joba,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
to support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan,
and the Constitution of the State of Michigan.
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the duty of
the Planning Commission
Planning Commission,
of the City of Hamtramck,
City of Hamtramck,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Eid Mubarak. Happy Eid to all of you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to serve my community. I live in Hamtramck over 33 years, and I was a DDA member also for 2 years. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move to the new business. We have Resolution 2023-85, modifying general provision governing the Hamtramck City Council.
Motion?
Second.
Max, you wanna take on this one?
Resolution 2023-85, modifying general provisions governing the Hamtramck City Council, first presented at a meeting of the City Council of the City of Hamtramck, Wayne County, Michigan, held on March 28th, 2023, at the City Hall, 3041 Eveline Street, Hamtramck, Michigan, 48212. Whereas on February 22nd, 2022, the City Council passed a resolution regarding general provisions governing the City Council of Hamtramck. Whereas the current City Council wishes to amend Section 7 of those provisions as outlined below. 7. Rules of debate addressing the City Council decorum. The rules of parliamentary procedure compromised in the current edition of Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised, shall govern all rules of debate addressing the City Council and decorum, provided they are not in conflict with the Hamtramck City Charter. A. Elected officials are only permitted to speak up to 5 minutes per agenda item. B. Any person may address the City Council during a City Council meeting without prior permission of the City Council or the Chair, subject to the following. 1. Interested parties or their authorized representatives may address the City Council by written communication with respect to any matter by delivering to the City Clerk a copy of the written communication received by 4 p.m. on the date of the City Council meeting. No such written communication will be accepted via email or any other electronic means. All written communications must be delivered via courier, such as United States Post Service, or in person by hand. 2. Each person who wishes to address the City Council shall submit a request form to the City Clerk. When called, approach the podium, shall limit his or her remarks for up to 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting on any topic. Each person may address the City Council for 2 minutes at the end of the meeting on agenda items only. A person may request 1 additional minute at their either public comment. All remarks shall be addressed to the City Council as a body and not to any specific members thereof. No public comment will be accepted by email. The City Clerk must keep track of the time limits and cut the public comments after the allotted time has elapsed. Further, all commenters shall be called at a first-come, first-served basis. No person other than the City Council and the person having the floor shall be permitted to enter any discussion, either directly or through the council member, without the permission of the chair. No questions shall be asked a council member except to the chair. Council members shall have the opportunity to respond to comments by individual members of the public immediately after the comments, provided that the responses shall not exceed 2 minutes per council member. Information presentation of longer than 5 minutes may be placed on the agenda at the discretion of the city manager to take place at the beginning of the meeting. C. While the City Council is in session, the members shall preserve order and decorum. A council member shall not, by conversation or otherwise, delay or interrupt proceedings or the peace of the City Council, disturb any council member while speaking, or refuse to obey the orders of the City Council or its chair. Every council member wishing to speak shall address the chair, and upon recognition of the chair, shall confine himself or herself to the question under debate, avoiding all personalities, indecorous language, personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or become boisterous, or shows obvious signs to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol. A council member violating this section shall forfeit all remaining opportunities to debate the remaining of the meeting. The chair may direct the sergeant at arms to remove the defending person. D. If any member of the public makes personal, impertinent, slanderous remarks, becomes boisterous while addressing the City Council, or shows obvious signs of under the influence of drugs or alcohol, the chair may bar that person from addressing the city council for the remainder of the meeting. The chair may direct the sergeant at arms to remove the offending person. E, cellular telephone ringers shall be turned off. Now therefore be resolved that resolution 2022-19, section 7 is amended as written above, passed and approved by the city council of the city of Hamtramck, Wayne County, Michigan, this 27th day of June, 2023.
All right. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilman.
I would like to bring some motion regarding this 2385. So only agenda items only. I want to change to the any topics. I think when public comes, sometimes it's good to listen what they're talking about. And many times, the concern that we have or the items on the agenda, there are other issues in the community that we need to hear. So I'd like to change to allow on any topics instead of the agenda.
You mean the second round?
Second, yes.
Okay.
To what is said, the city council end of the meeting on agenda allowed on agenda items only. I would like to change it to allow any topics to discuss. Also, I want to change to I want to bring a motion to the public comments. I think we should
We have to
hear.
do one motion at a time.
So,
Well, both are in the same paragraph, though.
I think it's still.
What's the-
Each.
You should vote them one at a time,
One at a time, sure.
just for clarity.
so we need support for your
So the
amendment?
first motion, you would have both the beginning and the end public comments all open-ended, right?
Yes,
Okay.
on any topics.
On any topic, yes.
Do we have a second for
Second.
that? Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, no.
so they're going to speak about the agenda item plus any item or anything?
No, you're gonna discuss this motion and either vote on it or not before you speak on any other topic.
The motion's on the floor to amend it right now, so the discussion's on the amendment.
Any discussion? You guys wanna just vote, you wanna vote on it?
Go ahead, Nomar.
Councilman Mahmoud,
On the
on your motion
Yes.
to make it, on any topic,
any topics, yes.
yes. Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai,
Yes.
Councilman El Samiri.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, amendment to change second public comment to any topic approved.
Okay.
Also, Mr. Mayor, on the same paragraph, on the emailing, I think we should hear from people what they are trying to say. As many, presenters say, there are people, some has some obligation, some of the out of state, some maybe had kids on, be able to make to the city hall. Or, someone may be a disability. So we need to hear everyone. I would like to, I understand this last meeting we had like outrageous emails. So we can make a, like minimum probably 10 or 15 email, first come, first serve. I mean, after receiving 10 or 15 email, we have a great technology in this country. Rest of them should get rejected by itself. And then read up to the 10 or 15 or 20 emails, whatever you guys decided.
So if there's a way to receive emails from our residents who are disabled, not from someone from Florida or California, I mean, that would work. Is there a way we can filter out emails? I don't know. I would like to listen from our residents only. I don't want to read 500 emails from all over the United States or maybe from Europe.
But like one of the residents said, it doesn't happen that often. I have like 2, 3, sometimes none. When it's a juicy subject, you're gonna have some kind of reaction. So you're making this decision based on very few incidences when this happens.
But it's still, we will have a lot of our residents here too. We have to listen to them. So
Suggestion?
No.
Mr. Chair,
maybe at the end of the round two of the
That's not the conclusion, yeah.
Yes, you cannot.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Councilman Musa.
we like to hear every way, like either email or come to the council meeting. But everything has to some rules and regulation. We have to give the priority our resident, our people who live in our residence area. And we can choose not 125 or something else. How long you can read this message, how long you can read this email. We have to make some numbers, maybe 15 or 20 max, and then we can go something
Or
else.
they can send their address with the email.
Yeah, that's something maybe.
Confirm their address, their residency. We could just offer it to be, sort of submit the email, and we have enough.
Our
we
city
have-
attorney is advising against singling out, well, I'm sorry,
Residents
our
versus non-
filling city attorney.
I don't think you can make the distinction between the residents and the non-residents. That's gonna create a.
And then what about
issue
business
of-
owners?
Mr.
Can
Chair.
we-
Or we can get some advice from our city attorney. So what is the option we can make it?
Mr. Chair. There's one more thing that I want to actually amend after we finish with this, but I think until we come with a plan on how we could accept emails, and if they are from the, from Hamtramck residents, I think if we're able to pass this and then come up with a plan with the city manager, or we could allow email just from the city of Hamtramck. There is programs, there's a way of, having residents.
He did mention a motion, but nobody seconded the motion to adjust that.
Second,
Thank
I
you.
did second.
I'm sorry.
So, like I said, I think if we're able to pass this resolution with the First Amendment, and then there's another one that I want to do, and then maybe plan something to see if there's a way that we could accept emails in a way only from Hamtramck residents. So if Max can find a program or somehow after.
I literally was asking our attorney that exact question just now. I mean, it's
I
against.
don't think you can discriminate against people that live in Troy. I mean, they are residents of the state, they're covered by the Open Meetings Act, people from Dearborn. You don't want people from Hamtramck who have an issue in Troy or Dearborn to be excluded from giving comment when they are allowed to address, under the First Amendment, they're allowed to address their elected representatives. Whether or not they vote for them, you're in that position. So if you're gonna allow the people from Hamtramck, you gotta let the people from Canton or wherever to speak. I would make that distinction. Everybody knows what your email addresses are. It wants to address people by email. It's not as if the right to address their elected representatives is being infringed by not having it read in an open public meeting, but, that's the decision that you are.
Mr. Chair, quick question to Mr. Attorney. Can we limit the amount, like rate 15
You
or
can
maybe?
you can limit the number, you can limit time, those are all things that have been done before.
So
All right,
then-
so
then
I'll-
we can-
The courts have recognized that meetings actually have to happen. You can't come here every other Tuesday and have 5 hours of public comment
Right.
and, work, nothing getting done by the body. So there has to be some balance in that.
Mr. Chair, I know there is no resolution or law that states that our city clerk reads these emails. I know it started during COVID, correct?
Once you allow that to happen, you can't pick and choose based upon where somebody lives.
But there is no rule or resolution in our
That
charter that
requires-
requires,
Right, but once you allow it, you have to do it in a way that is.
allows for, okay.
Fair to everybody.
Can we put some limit, the number, we can do that much?
That's my motion regarding this resolution. I will ask him for 15 maybe, first 15.
First 15 or whatever, we choose it.
No, 15 is a lot.
Let's work, if we do, is it work properly,
you
we
do
can go
more.
forward, otherwise we can modify in future.
Well, if you changed your motion, you'd have to withdraw your motion and re-motion the new wording.
Well, no, I'm not changing it. I said 15 at the beginning.
Okay.
So there's a motion on the table for 15?
15.
Limiting it at 15? Okay.
Yes.
Is there a second?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's the second?
Okay.
15 is gonna be a lot.
Guys want to vote on it or
This
just?
is up to 15 emails
First come,
on
first
a
served.
First come,
first
first
served
served,
basis, based upon the timestamp that
Right.
is received in the email inbox of the clerk, where
Clerk.
the clerk receives the
Yes.
message.
And also, should it not exceed the 3 minutes?
Well, I think they get the 4 total. That's why usually if I read an email, a long email, because the resolution states that you can ask for an additional minute, we do up to 4-minute emails. Most of them don't even reach 4 minutes,
All right,
so.
yeah, that's fine. All right.
So is
That's
it
'cause I've
mentioned,
never- That's because I've never sent in an email.
Yes, exactly.
That's true.
So are we voting on
15.
15 limited?
Yep.
Limited 15
All right.
emails?
before we vote, is it mentioned in the Open Act, the emails, public council emails?
You're not required under the Open Meetings Act to do that. If someone with a disability were to request a reasonable accommodation, you would have to make a determination as to whether or not that is a reasonable accommodation for that person.
So you mentioned to me today that some cities, they put limit even in person counts.
On the
First
time.
come, right? Like they put 30 minutes and whoever comes first. So we can use that for the emails, I mean, if you guys want.
I think you can start off with 15.
Yeah.
All right, let's vote.
Vote? Mr. Mayor? Vote?
Go ahead.
Councilman Mahmoud?
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri?
Yes.
Councilman Rafai?
Yes.
Councilman Musa?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, amendment to Resolution 2385, limiting emails to first come, first served of the first 15 that I received.
All right, so now we got 2 amendments that passed. Now we need to vote
I
on
need
the,
to motion to approve the amended resolution.
I'll make the motion.
I still have one more amendment,
Oh,
actually.
Sorry.
And that will be A, for elected officials are permitted to speak up to 5 minutes. I think there should be no limits for a official to speak.
That's actually not a change.
that's been the same,
That's
it's
actually
been
been
like
the way it's
that.
been.
It's on here.
Yeah, I
I
know,
know,
but
it's not, it's what it was.
It's
It's
on
just
bylaws.
regurgitated language.
If you've ever watched a C-SPAN debate, you know that when a speaker yields their time, it's because there are strict limits that are observed in parliamentary debate on time. And there are exceptions, obviously, filibusters and the like, but typically, in order to maintain the orderly progress of a meeting, you have to, some people are more loquacious than others, you have to limit the debate. You've had that provision for a number of years already.
In the 5 minutes period?
Technically, yeah.
I don't know that it's been observed, but that's not a change from the rules.
I don't think anyone's been timing that.
all right.
All right.
So then,
So, you take that
Okay.
back?
Yes, I'll take it back.
So, we are now
Voting.
voting on,
Two.
yeah, so I need a
Amendment.
motion on.
I did
so-
motion.
Second.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2023-85 amended, approved.
thank you. We have Resolution 2023-86 approving appointments of auditors for financial statement and single audit for the city of Hamtramck.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, we conducted an RFP on this. As there are a limited number of auditors that can actually do this for the city, we actually emailed out to the large ones that we're aware of and the ones that have in the past audited the city of Hamtramck. One declined, 2 gave us actual bids, and again, UHY came in the best. It is our recommendation that we again select UHY.
Any further discussion?
No, sir.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2386 approved.
Thank you. Next one is Resolution 2023-87 approving 2022-23 fourth quarter budget amendments.
A motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, as council and yourself are aware, we do the quarterly amendments. This will be the last one for the year. Basically, it's just trying to keep the budget in line with where it's supposed to be, moving money around, moving budgets around. Our controller is here for any specific questions. He's analyzed pretty carefully and moved things accordingly, and it is as presented.
All right, any more discussion? Any questions for the financial officer?
No, sir.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Al Shamiri.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 2387 approved.
Thank you. Next one is Resolution 2023-88, approving first reading of amendment to the City of Hamtramck Code of Ordinance, Chapter 51.004, service pipe specification.
Is anyone available from the?
Can I get a
A motion?
motion?
Second.
I need a motion.
I'll motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I do have our DPS director here. Typically Hennessy comes, but we figured we could probably handle this one. Basically, what it is our current Code of Ordinances requires us to only use copper for the service lines into the houses. We are now aware that copper is becoming a little bit more harder to acquire. It's slowing up our progress on replacing the service lines. And it's come to our attention that there are very good solutions in plastic that are arguably even better than the copper and less expensive. I know that a public comment did come through questioning that. I do not believe that there is anything, any issues with what we're trying to use here. There's approved piping that many cities use. Some cities actually require the plastic as opposed to the copper nowadays. It is kind of across the board, but it is cheaper, more efficient, and quicker to do. Did I miss anything there, John?
Yeah, the plastic's being more commonly used just because of the availability of it. Copper's hard to get. Everything has to be approved by EGO anyhow, and there's the different forms of the plastic pipe you can get. And a lot of our the water line that we just put down Kniff is plastic. So even if you're gonna have a copper line, it's gonna hook up to a plastic main. The advantage going with the poly is we can service about 6 changes a day compared to 3. So we're on timelines for changing out these service lines. The contractors can work a lot faster with the plastic. One, it's lighter, and it's high dense, it doesn't kink, so once you bend the copper, it's over. The plastic, it won't. It will go back in place, it doesn't freeze, it blows up, it goes back down. So there's a lot of benefits that way. It slows down the trade, especially carrying a 300-pound roll of copper, into a household. The other thing that's really important is getting the trades to do the service lines has become a very big challenge. And I believe we're gonna have more people bid on changing service lines if we allow the plastic. Because a lot of companies just aren't putting in the bid to do it because of the copper requirement.
Additionally, we believe there's a longer life expectancy.
It's 200 years.
It's plastic.
Yeah, and we're getting reports that the copper, even though copper is traditionally good, that the quality of the copper we're getting isn't as good.
The other problem with the copper is if you have an acidic soil somewhere different in one part of the city from another part, or a high sulfur area, the copper's going to just deteriorate a lot faster. The plastic won't.
So it's Mr. Chair. So the main lines will be actually plastic. The ones that are headed to the homes, from the street to the home. Is that gonna still?
Would be the HDP. It's a poly pipe, continuous roll. And right now, like I said, on Kniff, we have that currently as our main. So that's what we just put in.
Is that the first plastic that we actually did?
I'm not quite sure on what they did on some of the others. In ductile iron, we got a couple different things, but everybody is going to the HDP. It's just that we can get it. It doesn't slow the contractors down, and it's the cost factor. We're going to save approximately $200 a house, so it's about $120,000 savings to the city also. Not even counting the time constraints that we're going to save.
We're also trying to ramp up this program to get a lot more done, a lot faster, for a whole myriad of reasons, and we're just not able to do it with copper as well.
It's slow. Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
So, in the middle of the working process, they're changing to copper to plastic. or?
No, this is just for the individual line coming from the main to the person's house. Right now, we're using copper, so it wouldn't be like they're lost. It's just that they have another product they can use, so you'd still run the service line like the wood as if it was copper. It's just gonna be plastic.
Usually I heard that plastic is better than copper, but I mean.
There's one other benefit, it gets a little more technical, with the copper, a lot of cities are using copper because it's a ground, you have a ground wire connecting, they go to the, connected right by the meter, so when you go to a plastic, you have to reground. A lot of people have faults in their house already, but once with this insurance with them, the first question was, is who's gonna do the grounding? The grounding's included. So they're actually gonna install 2 ground rods, connected from the panel to where it's supposed to be, so it's actually putting the resident a lot better light than currently.
All right, sounds good to me. Anything that will save us money, so.
And it saves us money.
You say $120,000?
$120,000.
All right.
I'm not up here just to spend your money all the time. I'm gonna save it too.
All right.
Let's get it.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, Resolution 2388 is approved.
Thank you. Next one, reintroducing the sweeper. Resolution 2023-89, approving the purchase of 1 street sweeper truck for the Department of Public Service.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, we have John here to speak on this again. He really wants this truck.
I know.
Well, last time there was a little bit of confusion of who would actually pay for it. It actually comes out of the road fund, not the
You sure?
general fund. Yes, so, after I mentioned that to a few council members in the hallway, the mayor, he says, that might have changed the way people voted, so why don't you reintroduce it? There's a little technicality with this, having the first sweeper, mentioned, come back after you get your first one. That's why I parked it out front.
Yeah,
So-
strategic.
So, we did meet that requirement, we parked it out front, which is a beautiful unit. And I do have Clark Bushman here with he's the one that sold the first unit, he's the one that has the second unit.
I'm Clark Bushman, I'm with Bell Equipment. I've been blessed to be doing this, selling environmental equipment in Michigan and Ohio and other states now for 40 years for the same company. Our location in Michigan is located in Lake Orion, and we sell and service sweepers and sewer cleaning equipment, garbage trucks, and other things. And we don't just sell it, we support it, aftermarket support and parts. We'll be here tomorrow to do training for its staff because, to my knowledge, in my 40 years, City of Hamtramck has never owned a sweeper. You contracted most of that. And when I go down your streets and I see you're doing new curb and gutter and such, that is, what you're doing in this community is wonderful. And from an aesthetic standpoint, from a value-added standpoint to your residents, what sweeping can do is phenomenal. And the old adage is, it's always cheaper to remove debris when it's above the street than when it's below it. Because when you start getting down in sewer lines and having to put sewer cameras and sewer equipment in there, which we also sell, it's a lot more expensive to do. And it's a higher training that those sewer operators need as well. Certification for water and sewer is much more involved. But, so what you're asking tonight and what we've discussed is, if you're gonna have 2 sweepers, and I've got others in Michigan that do this, it's nice to have an air sweeper, which is the sweeper that's sitting out here right now, because it gives you the ability to do a couple of things. To sweep anytime by itself, pick up the fines, and also it's got a wandering hose off the back that you're gonna be able to clean your catch basins rather than contract that out. And that alone, pretty substantial savings is what you shared with me to help justify it. And then the second sweeper he's asking about is the Elgin Pelican, which is that sweeper's been manufactured in some form since 1914, Elgin, Illinois. It's the top selling sweeper in the world, and you couple a mechanical in the spring of the year in front of a vacuum or an air machine, and then in the fall of the year, so the mechanical is going and picking up all the heavier debris that comes from the winter and the leaves and such in the fall, and then the air machine comes by and picks up the debris scattered and such. So you're going to have the best of both worlds, and you'd be top in class for the sweeping program you're going to have to any community in the state of Michigan, because I've been to all of them. So We appreciate your confidence in us, and we do what we say, and we say what we do. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Do you guys have any more questions?
No.
All right. I mean, we can always sell those sweepers if they're not effective, just like the emergency manager did in the past. Now we are buying stuff for the city. In the past, they used to sell the stuff so they can fix the budget. Now we are buying stuff, so hopefully they will be helpful and effective in cleaning the city.
Also, Mr. Mayor, hopefully you don't listen from our residents, the city is not clean anymore, street. So make sure.
We still have to do some work to clean the parks and front yards, because this machine is not gonna go there. It's
I
just
know,
for the
beside the
streets.
park, it's a ropes.
I'm looking for one.
Okay.
We sell that equipment too.
You do? There you go.
We urge the community people do their part and city will do their part.
Yeah.
Everybody
Alright.
need to do their part.
That's one.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Councilman Rafai,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 2389 approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next one and the last one is resolution 2023-90, approving the contract award for towing services to Nationwide Recovery.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, we have the chief here to speak on this. This is also an RFP that the chief put together and we bid it out. This is the company we've had for a while, and the chief can explain further.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. This agenda item is to have the council consider the approval of a 3-year contract with Nationwide Recovery for towing services with a 2-year renewal option at the same rates if approved. On May 18th of 2023, the city of Hamtramck placed a request for proposal on BidNet direct purchasing system, and 7 vendors submitted bids, including our current vendor, Nationwide Recovery. Nationwide's contract began on July 1st of 2018 and was renewed in 2021 for 2 more years. The services provided by Nationwide Recovery have been delivered in a professional and timely manner. The police department is extremely satisfied with the services that the city has been received. Nationwide Recovery has agreed to provide towing services for the city using several of the same rates as outlined in their previous contract. And I would say their bid came in about mid-range for all their standard tow rates, and there are several services that they have agreed to provide at no cost, such as battery boost, tire changes, and lockouts. They've also agreed to continue their 3 days of free storage for City of Hamtramck residents. Nationwide does use state-of-the-art software for records management, and they include photographs with all of the vehicles that they impound or tow for us. Continuing services with Nationwide Recovery would allow for a smooth transition of services with no disruptions. And I do have Mr. Louis Hussein here, if you had any questions for him or questions for me.
Assalamu alaikum. Louis Hussein, Nationwide Recovery, and we're very honored to do business with the city, and we're very happy, and hopefully we get your support for 3 more years.
If you don't mind asking, where is your facility or
Our
lot?
facility is located in Detroit off of Jefferson and Connor, and our evidence facility is located in Highland Park. We have a 137 square foot evidence facility there, but we also have 7 yards throughout Wayne County. We tow for 18 different municipalities in Wayne County right now. And we're one of the largest towers. We pride ourselves on being very efficient, quick ETAs. All our ETAs are generally under 10 minutes. Very big on loss prevention. All our trucks have 3 cameras on them that visualize the front, the back, and the inside of the cab. We pride ourselves on being the best, and we like to keep providing that service to the city of Hamtramck and the great police department you guys have.
Thank you.
Any questions or?
No, thank you.
No? Okay, thank you.
Councilman Rafai,
Yes.
Councilman Musa,
Yes.
Councilman Mahmoud,
Yes.
Councilman Al Samiri,
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, resolution 2390 approved.
Thank you. All right, so we're done with the new businesses and we move to the reports. Now I'll start with my report. I just wanna take this moment and send my deepest condolences to our city attorney on passing of his father-in-law. Sorry to hear that. He texted me today and it's very sad. So we all are sorry for hearing that to happen before the Eid. It's very sad. I also want to take this opportunity to say Eid Mubarak to all our residents who will celebrate Eid tomorrow, and to all Muslims around the world. Other than that, again, I don't want to discuss any topics that have been discussed so much over the past 2 weeks. Trying to do our best to keep our cities safe and calm, and to keep our residents safe also. One of the residents asked me if I meant to say the outsiders for all the people who protested. I don't mean all of them. I just meant that some outsiders will come and join, but I know our residents were there too. But on the other hand, I did my part to call the people in the community not to do a counter protest like they were planning to do, just to avoid any violence or any problems that could happen. I did so many calls to community leaders, to the mosque. They were planning to do a counter protest, and I was able and successful to convince them not to do so. And if that happened, you wouldn't see just 50 or 100 people. There would be thousands of people protesting. So, and we call people even from outside not to join us. We don't want any people from outside to do counter protests in our city. So hopefully we'll be able to keep our city safe and calm, and decrease this tension that's happening. And again, we are here to listen to everybody. We will consider every person's comment and opinion. We are not ignoring anyone. And I would like to thank everyone who joined us today, and I appreciate that taking the time to come and join us. I'm always willing to talk and communicate with you, like you suggested. I mean, communication is always the best way to solve problems. We have to understand each other and to learn from our differences. I guess that's all. There were some activities that happened over the past 2 weeks. I can't remember because the main issue is covering everything else. I can't remember of anything I did, but there were some activities, including the most important one today in the morning. We, with our attorney, former attorney Jim Allen, and the city manager, we attended the kickoff of construction of the last 3 houses of the 200 houses that were ordered to be built as a result of the Sarah Garrett lawsuit that happened in 1968. And with building those 3 houses that will start soon, we would end 55 years old housing discrimination lawsuit that happened in Hamtramck. And that's a good news for us. We have the funds for those houses, and it's going to be built. And we are very honored to end this discrimination case now after so many years, hoping that it will not happen again. That's all for my report. Mayor Pro Tem is not here. City Council report, if any of you would like to say something, you're free to.
Mr. Chair,
Councilman
I want to thank everybody that showed up here today, and also happy Eid to all our residents that celebrate Eid al-Adha, and wish everybody best, and hopefully everybody will enjoy this beautiful holiday that's happening here in our city. And I want to welcome Jim Allen back in the city. It's been a while.
I've been here. He's not here.
And that's it. Please be safe. Enjoy your day.
Mr. Mayor, good evening to audience, and good evening everyone, my colleague. First of all, Ode, he texted all of us to his father being passed away. His means a lot, that he's serious about the city and to his job. So, and our deepest condolence to his family and his wife family. And secondly, one of the comment came out there, all councilmen, or look like all are male here, not female. But just to make a correction that, our residents, even though they're majority Muslims, but we voted a woman, tremendous amount of vote, record-breaking vote she got, Amanda, because she resigned for her personal reason. It's not our fault. So it's not that we're just trying to elect men for the city council. You know, we support women too, we support female. And I voted for her too, it's nothing to lie. So just to make a correction on there. Also, being honest, it's not personal. I know the social media and news media kinds of make it a big deal. The amendment came because of, as you say, the small community, and when you do one thing, everybody expects to do the same thing, as Mayor mentioned before. This community is that small. The people complain that some people are driving recklessly on our street. When we reach out to our city manager or police chief, say, hey, we need more police patrolling. Next day they complain, we can't even drive in the city because they are giving us too many tickets. So our jobs, it's always difficult. And if we decide to put the flag, then everybody will come up with different ideas and different flags that they want to fly. So that was the reason we banned every flag, not the LGBTQ. Nothing personal with you guys. I think the timing was bad. It came to the bad timing. That's what happened. Otherwise, it's a beautiful city we're all going to enjoy, and nothing personal, as I said. And we all should love each other and respect each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Musa.
Thank you very much. A lot of people was here, they made the comment about the LGBTQ. I just firstly tell them, we are trying to work for everybody peacefully and equally. You are our friends. I hope we go more further and with respect. And if you have any issue, you told us before last meeting also, if you have any issue, come forward. City manager here, we are here, police chief is here. We try to solve anything. If you have any personal issue come up, or any hate crime or anything else there. And I support Mr. Mayor. Yes, personally people come to us also. They want to protest also against your protest. So we try to tell them no, not to do this at this moment. It is not the time to. It is not the solution to protest against the protest. They want to put their opinion also, their choice also. We try to work together. My other colleague told you before, speed bump. We want to, for the safety, we want to put the speed bump, but some people say, oh, we put too many speed bump. It's really hard to work together, but please work with us. We try our best, and peacefully, smoothly, all those things we'd like to done in the city of Hamtramck. And finally, we see the nice our street sweeping truck there, and we hope we have another one coming together. So we don't want to have any complaint from the resident. So our street is not clean. And I urge to the resident, please do your part. You'll clean your house, backyard and front also. And I hope city will do their part. Together we make the city nice and clean. And lastly, I will tell each and everyone, city of Hamtramck, Michigan, and abroad, all the Muslim community, happy Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak. Tomorrow we are celebrating Eid al-Azha, Eid Mubarak. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, Councilman Swear.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone who came today to the meeting, to show up the meeting and to make the public comment. And I am sorry to hear for the Uday, his father, he's passed away. And I'd like to Eid Mubarak for all the Muslim, and because they have the holiday. And they got next week, they're gonna be Independence Day, the 4th July. Happy 4th July, and thank you for everyone.
Thank you. All right, so done with the city council report. Do we have a report for the chief financial officer?
He left for the evening.
Oh, he left, okay. All right, then we get to the city manager report.
Just a few things, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to express my condolences for our city attorney and his family in this difficult time. Also want to give another reminder about the Sarah Garrett Monument commencement tomorrow at 5 p.m. at Sarah Garrett Park. We are expecting a pretty good turnout, and we're hoping the rest of the community comes out as well. Street sweeper, the first one's here. The training, as we know, is going to get rolling. We're hoping to see that around City Hall or around the city real soon, along with the second one to follow up soon. And lastly, happy Eid, everybody.
Thank you. All right, we are back to the public comments again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Len Blasey? So does that new rule take effect right now? Can you speak on any topic?
I think yes.
I believe she can.
Yeah.
So you can say happy Eid if you want.
Right, yeah. There was actually something off the agenda, I was like, oh, I can't talk about that, and now I don't remember what it is. But anyway, hello again, Mayor and Council. I do have a question of clarification regarding Resolution 2023-85 as amended. I'm curious if if there can be a system in place to let people know if they're like number 16 email, that their email is not going to be read by mayor and councils or at the meeting, so that there's a system in place that people can know and they're not surprised when it's not read. Also, just kind of a clarifying question. I know Plant Moran declined to be our auditor, but I know they also provide other services for the city, and I was curious if those other services were going to continue because their presentations are frankly really awesome.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then I wanted to congratulate Abdulaziz and MD Frouj for their appointments on our boards and commissions. Those are really important ways for community members to participate and serve the community. I encourage anyone who's interested to apply to be on a boards or commission. And I wish I could remember the non-agenda item that I had in mind. How much more time do I have? Oh.
Save it for next one.
45 seconds.
Okay. Eid Mubarak, happy 4th of July, and all that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dwight Del Garrett?
Thank you for taking the time out to listen to me, Mayor and Council. Glad some of y'all did make it out to June 19th, our third annual June 19th, first annual March. Was glad to see some of y'all made it out. And I'm also honored that y'all are doing the dedication in honor of my mother. She would really appreciate it if she was here. And I'd just like to say, y'all, keep working. I know it's a rough battle. You know, it's a lot of things you have to make work in, but doing the best you can with what you have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Bill Meyer?
Okay, thank you so much for allowing us to talk about any subject, so I can be the first one. Did anybody go to fireworks yesterday? Wasn't that cool? You couldn't see it because it was all cloudy and it was a big waste of time. Anyway, okay, over the years, these rules of council meetings have changed. This is all arbitrary, all these rules. You make them up whenever you want to, depends who's behind that wall there. And by the way, there never used to be a wall. We used to be in the same room together. Many things have changed over the years. What you're basing all your rules on are this Open Meetings Act, which is from 1977. They didn't even have cell phones then. And these are the rules we're using today. So they had to be revised, but I don't know, I don't think they've been revised. So it's up to you to decide what to do. So since I've lived here, the amount of time you can speak at a meeting changed so many times, it's ridiculous. So then it gets more cut down when people get fearful that the public's going to say something they don't like to hear, then they open it up and then everyone's getting along or whatever. So thank you so much for allowing us to speak about anything in the second half. I think you should know about your agenda, geez, okay. You should know about your agenda's been changed about the the reports at the end of your meeting. You can cut out half an hour of this meeting if you want to cut out these reports. We just added those like 5 years ago. And I'll tell you a little gossip how it started. And you might know Robert Zwolak, who wasn't getting along very well with the mayor at the time. I mean, we confided about this, and he says, how can we cut her down in the way she talks at these meetings and stuff like that? So Why don't we expose what she's really doing? So why don't we have her give a report? Tell us, what have you been doing for the last 2 weeks? You know, like, we thought she wasn't doing anything. So they changed the rules and added the report from the mayor only. And then the mayor gave the report. And then after a while, it looked good for the mayor, and then all of a sudden she's telling all these things she's doing, so they had to change. So all of a sudden they said, well, wait, we gotta add everybody else so that they can have rebuttal. So that's how it's gotten out of control. You're all giving reports, which you should talk about during the meeting. You don't need a report at the end. Say everything you have to say during the meeting. And if you forget, then at the end say, can I have a minute? I think she'll give you a minute. Maybe 2 minutes. I don't know. Anyways, Eid Mubarak to all the Muslim friends here in the city, by the way, which is 70–80%, which most of the white community does not want to acknowledge. They still think it's like 50%. I don't know where they get that from. Check the roll call of the high schools and the schools and the names and all that in the city, and look around the city, and walk around the whole city and see who lives here. Muslims, this is the largest percentage of Muslims in any city in the Western Hemisphere. So they have a voice here. It's a very powerful voice. We have to listen to it. And we have to find a way to live together, all communities. But understand, you guys have a large part
I
of it.
gave you your extra minute without you even asking, because your speech was a little exciting for me. Mubarak?
Good evening, Council. I'm here to speak against resolution to limit email comments. I'm not sure how that went. I was busy doing some gardening work. Did it pass?
Yeah, well,
We amended it.
You amended it?
we
Allowed
limited it to 15
first
emails.
15 emails to be read.
Okay, 15 is not too bad. Maybe, I don't know, we can come up with a resolution next time, maybe 25, 30 maybe max. Because honestly, some people can't make it down here, you know? I was able to take a break and put down my gardening tools. But if I was doing my all-time favorite pastime of crocheting, I don't know if I would have put down those sewing needles. But on another issue I want to speak of, I know a man, Mr. Tyrone Haynes, he's a barber, longtime resident too of Hamtramck. He left the city about a few years ago, opened up his own business down in Southwest Detroit, came back, and he has been very busy with his business. He actually renovated the building next door, opened it up and everything, and one of the things I was talking with him about was he still has issues with the parking. So he's saying he can only park a limit 4 hours or so, but then he would have to stop, give it a haircut, and then go on and move his car. And I mean, if they're paying, does there has to be a limit on the parking? I mean, if he's gonna pay, he's paying. So I mean, if we can check that out, you know, it wouldn't be a Hamtramck Council meeting without an issue with parking. So we gotta bring it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Jody Ford?
Evening. As a local, I mean, I haven't been a local that long, only about 10 years or so, so, you know, I'm still pretty new to the city compared to a lot of folks. But, you know, as somebody who is kind of part of the LGBT community and such, you know, y'all's timing probably could have been better. You said that it wasn't personal. You did it during Pride Month. That makes it kind of personal. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks for compromising on the email thing, though. That's appreciated. I thought you were going to do 15 minutes instead of 15 emails, but hey, you know, 15's 15, right? So, yeah, I'll make sure to get my emails in early. And also, y'all are still going to try and get the agendas out a little earlier for folks, I'm hoping. Didn't even realize how they were until they hit kind of last minute, I felt like. But anyway, just babbling. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dr. Lisa Perkins?
Assalamualaikum. Eid Mubarak. Very happy to be here. I lived in my name is Lisa Perkins, and I used to live in Hamtramck from 2007 to 2009, and I met some of you then. And so in that time, I was a doctoral student in anthropology from University of Texas at Austin. And I wanted to write my dissertation about Hamtramck, and for those 2 years, the whole city of Hamtramck was my classroom, where I was trying to learn about Muslim American civic engagement in the city. And the whole of the city had lessons to teach me. Everyone I met had things to teach me. And this, you know, City Hall, I would scribble all my notes, and you know, it was before a lot of different technologies way back. So we were really reliant on, you know, doing the paper and pen and picture, you know. So that resulted in a book that I published in 2020. So yes, I worked on the book for 13 years, and you know, so I owe my success to Hamtramck, and you know, I'm thrilled to see how the city has grown. I'm still involved in Hamtramck, even though I moved away in 2009. I'm still a member of One Hamtramck LLC with Bill Meyer, and you know, now we're working on the Yemen mural park and restoring the mural. And I'm very excited to keep, you know, being part of Hamtramck, even though I stay in Detroit when I'm in the city now. I have a place there, and also live in Kalamazoo half-time. And I just wanted to commend you. I think that since 2009, the city has changed for the better in many, many ways. And I know that the ways that, you know, some of the parking meter issues and other things that we think have maybe changed for the worse, I know you guys are going to fix it. And I just wanted to congratulate you guys on the success that you've done for the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, that's all for public comment.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
So, yeah, no closed session, just,
She's ready to go.
yeah, I need a motion to adjourn.
I motion.
Second.
All right, 8:52.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. You plan to go?
All right.